What's up, guys? Universal Mastery. So in today's video, what I'm going to be talking about is another very common question that a lot of people have and want to know, which is, how do you know when a spirit is trying to communicate with you? Stay tuned. Okay, so first thing first, I wanna speak on the most common things that happen when people first start to get into the more spiritual, metaphysical side of science. Okay, because once again, this is all science. It's just science to such an advanced degree that, you know, our most advanced scientists can't really explain some of the stuff that's going on, other than the fact that things work in the principles of energy, okay, and energy transmutations and frequencies, all things in this nature. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is that when people first get on this path, when people first start diving into this side, you could say, what happens is they start to pay more attention to their own intuition, okay? Their own intuition. And your own intuition is directly connected to your higher self, okay? So what you can view your higher self is a being that is your own spiritual essence, your own unique spiritual essence that is directly connected to Creator Source. Okay? So with that being said, that Creator Source is connected to everything. Like literally, like we are all fingers on the hand of the Creator Source. And we don't even know really what Creator Source is, other than the fact that it is this foundational energy that we are all part of and we all exist with, and Creator Source needs us to exist as well and wants to see us thrive, because if we thrive, then it thrives. Okay? So the first thing that typically will happen is you'll get in touch with your intuition when you first start to walk this path. And when you get in touch with your intuition, that basically what I'm saying is you start to trust your intuition. We all have an intuition. We all have this all-knowingness to us. We all have this infinite intellect. Literally, it's in us. But the problem is there's a lot of distractions that keep us from listening to that, and keep us from studying it, and keep us from understanding it. And when you don't study it, when you don't understand it, when you don't listen to it, you don't access it. Okay, so when you start to access it, then you start to see how powerful your mind is. Meaning, like, you may listen to your intuition about a certain situation that hasn't even happened yet, but your intuition is telling you this is exactly how this situation is about to manifest. And then, lo and behold, that's exactly how that situation manifests. So then you start to ask yourself the question, holy shit, like, how did I know that? Okay, so that is your intuition, that is your all-knowingness, and that is a part of your higher self, and we are all connected to that. Now, when it comes to spirits, when it comes to communicating with spirits, like, how do you know if you're listening to your intuition, or how do you know if a spirit is talking to you? How do you know, like what it is? How do you know? How do you know if it's your higher self communicating with you, or how do you know if it's a spirit communicating with you? So the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build a muscle towards your higher self, meaning your own intuition. However you want to view it. You can view it as your own intuition or your higher self. The more you start to listen to your own intuition and listen to your own higher self, you're going to start to get this understanding. This understanding that you are the one that is coming up with these all-knowing what's the word? These predictions, these senses that are literally all knowing. You're going to start to realize that you're coming up with that. And that's gonna come with practice. Okay, you're gonna have to listen to your intuition a little bit more. You're gonna have to trust your states of being, and you're probably most likely gonna have to change some things in your life if you really want to increase this ability. Meaning, there's probably gonna be some toxic people you're gonna have to get rid of. There's probably some different tweaks to your nutrition that you're gonna have to make. There's probably some different things that you're gonna have to start paying attention to. And when you do that, then you start to strengthen that ability of trusting your intuition. And then you get to a certain point where you realize that your intuition is also influenced by certain spirits, meaning these certain spirits happen to be your spirit guides. So once you get to that ability where, you start to trust your intuition, you start to realize like you are your own God in your own right, you have your own higher self, and that being is literally connected straight to source and is literally is beyond source, because if you are source and you want to go beyond source, then you are. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So when you get to that level, then you realize that there are spirits, and that you have certain spirit guides that help you in life, that help influence you. Just like, whatever it is that you do in your mundane life, there's going to be certain people that support you, there's going to be certain people that help you, and there's going to be certain people that want to see you do good. Just like there's going to be certain people that don't really give a fuck about you, there's going to be certain people that are not healthy for you, and there's certain people that are just straight up doing nothing. Now, these are all microcosmic manifestations to what is actually going on the other side, in different realms, in different planes, in the astral and beyond the astral. Okay, these are all microcosmic. So there are spirits, there are powerful beings that want to see you thrive, maybe because in past lives you have connections with them. Maybe before you came down as a human being or incarnated as the vessel that you are, maybe you've made deals with some of these beings to say, hey look, or contracts or pacts or trust bonds that said, hey look, like, I'm going to come down and I need your help to be able to figure some truths out while I'm down there. So help me out. All these things can happen. All these things can happen. So when you start to become conscious of your spiritual path, when you start to be conscious of your spiritual journey, then you start to realize that there are these spiritual beings that help you, your spirit guides. And then you start to be conscious of what these spirit guides are. And a lot of the ways that can manifest, of figuring out, who and what your spirit guides are, is they will literally appear in your life. Meaning they could manifest through someone that is in your sphere of influence, meaning like at your job or one of your friends, and it could be their name. Right? Like their own name could be a direct correlation to the specific spirit that is working in your life. Like, for example, there's Archangel Michael, there's Gabriel, there's things in that nature. Okay? Things in that nature. And then they can also manifest in more complex ways. Meaning, I'll give you an example, like for the more infernal side, because look, most people don't name their son Lucifer, or they don't name their son Satan, things in that nature, because that's biblical and that's what society has programmed. Like, these are evil beings. You don't want to name your children after that. So a more in-depth way of figuring out, what being might be trying to, show me signs right now. And I'll share with you some of the ways that these beings have communicated with me on more spiritual levels and deep levels, more advanced levels, if you will. So I work heavily with Lucifer, and and I work with the infernal current. Okay, that's a big part of what I do, and I have a strong connection with that. Okay, so at my job, I work with somebody named Abel. Okay, his name is Abel, and if you guys know from the story of the Bible, there is Abel and his brother is Cain. So the way I perceived it is, I'm working with Abel, then that means I'm Cain. Okay? And if I'm Cain, that means Cain is influencing me. The spirit, the energy, the influence, the resonance, the lessons, the teachings, that's a Cain type teaching. And that's a Luciferian context to this whole thing. Okay, so that's a simple way it can manifest. And then here's another one. And look, these things, like, I'm gonna tell you this, like, these things can't, because there's gonna be people that doubt this shit. And it's unfortunate, because these things can't just, like, these are not just coincidences, okay? Out of all the people that could be working with me, I work with like 4 people, and there just happens to be one named Abel, okay? And then the property that I was working at before the one I'm at now, there just happened to be this girl that was a cashier, and she just happened to have a tattoo of Lucifer's sigil on her hand. Like, and I told her, I said, I like your tattoo. And she looked at me, and she looked at me like, there's no way you know what this is. And I said, that's Lucifer's sigil. I love it. And she was shocked, because she had it tattooed. She she studies this a little bit. She was younger than me. And I can tell that no one knows what the fuck that tattoo meant. Like, most people have no idea. And I said it right there, and she was shocked. But it's like, what are the odds? Like, out of everybody, like, I personally have not really seen anybody with a Lucifer tattoo. And she just happens to work at the same place that I was at. So these are all signs. Now, on the deeper spiritual level, these are signs from your spirit guides showing you how they're influencing your life, and that they're with you. Okay, that they're there, they're surrounding you. Okay, so when I started off, as a Christian, and I was led to believe, I was programmed to believe that these beings were evil and I need to stay away from them. It was insane, and it was hard, and it was tough for me, because these beings were naturally the beings that wanted to see me succeed, and they wanted to work in my life, and they wanted to help me, and they wanted to see me grow and teach me a lot of things. But I was physically and consciously trying to resist them based off the programming and indoctrination from the religion. So until I finally gave into it, I finally said, you know what, I see how this path of Christianity is fucking blocking me. I finally got to a point where I had to just straight up admit it. And it was a long unraveling process, but I finally got to that point where I'm like, fuck it. Let me study about like demons and shit. And I finally submitted. I finally got to that point, and then boom. It was like all this fucking knowledge just got pumped in here, and then all these crazy manifestations started happening very quickly. It was like I finally connected with the person and persons that have been there the whole time and really wanted to see me do good. It was a great feeling, and it still is to this day. I mean, it's like, that's a confidence that definitely all practitioners and real sorcerers have, is that that you have these strong relationships in different planes, and you know how powerful you are in your own right. You know that you can cause change in the world very quickly, and you can influence things very intensely. So taking it back to the topic of what we're talking about here, is that is one way that these spirits will communicate with you, through signs and through symbols. Okay, so that's why it's important to start trying to learn more about what these signs and symbols mean. So like when you see the Eye of Horus, that's a sign, that's a symbol that something is trying to communicate with you. So the more you dive into what is that something, who is it, what is it, simply by asking and being open to receiving, you will very well come across these answers. Like, YouTube has been amazing for me. That's why I have a channel, because it's influenced me, and it's been my infinite library of wisdom and knowledge through divination. Meaning, I will go on my YouTube, and then random videos will pop up about what I need to learn next. They will just pop up on my main page. I don't even know how. But let's say a different being is trying to communicate with me. There's a few people that I follow and I subscribe, and then they just randomly, they're practitioners too, and they'll randomly talk about these beings. And I'm seeing how these beings are influencing them to share a message with me. And then there'll be some times where it's just like a video from years ago will just come up on my YouTube channel that is directly correlated to that that spirit guide that I needed to connect with. So these are other ways that you can connect with these beings. Now let's talk about when you actually get gnosis, like actually get communication. So once you start to realize your own intuition, your own higher self, your own energetic frequency, if you will, then you'll start to get to a point where now you can start to perceive things outside of that. So you'll start to get an imagery of the voice that is your own intuition. And a lot of people call it God, right? A lot of people call it God, but what they're really talking about is creator source. Because once again, we are all connected to creator source. All these powerful spirit guides, whatever, we're all connected to creator source. So people will call their higher self God, right? So let's undo that and let's call it our higher self. Okay, this is going to create more of an individualized, more structured way of perceiving other energies when they try to communicate with you. So if you can hear your higher self communicating with you through its all-knowing intelligence, create an image for that, create a picture for that, and then once you have that image and that picture, when that voice comes to you, you'll see it. So that means when another voice comes to you, when a different energetic frequency tries to communicate with you, and this will happen, you will now have a understanding of what is your own intuition, what is your own higher self, and then what is this? What is this spirit that is communicating with me? What is this energy, this frequency, this spirit guide that is saying this over here? It sounds like a different voice. It looks different in my mind. This is something different. And you can listen to that. You can tune into that. Okay, I hear something different. What are you? Who are you? And then you can listen. And sometimes, like on deeper advanced levels, you can have your higher self communicate with that being. I mean, essentially that's what's going on. You can imagine your higher self conversating with that spirit guide, asking the questions in a different plane. Now this is getting a little deep. I'm starting to get like the chills right now. But that's what's going on. You're communicating with another being. You start to recognize what is what. And then when that voice comes, when that notion comes, when this energy comes, those emotions come, you know it's different. And you can start to figure out what these beings are. So let's say it's this specific spirit guide over on this end. You'll start to recognize what that feels like. You'll start to recognize what it sounds like, and you'll start to know what it looks like in your mind's eye. And then let's say it's a different spirit guide over here. Then that's going to have a whole different signature to it. It may sound a little bit different. It may feel a little bit different, and it may look different. Okay? And you can start literally, the more advanced you get, the more you can put context to these different beings. And when you put context to them, that's when you start to strengthen the relationship. You start to grow because you know what you're channeling and you become more advanced, if you will. So these are all ways that you can communicate. Then there's, you drawing its sigil, like directly, like whatever being it is, like you can go on Google Images, draw the sigil, gaze at the sigil, and that being will eventually come through if you're in the right receptive state of mind. Now, it takes a certain state of mind to be able to open that sigil as a gateway. Okay? Not everyone can do that. You have to be receptive enough. Okay? And sometimes it depends what being you're trying to make contact with. Sometimes these beings won't even open the gate for you because you're not ready for it. If they were, then you might go insane. You might your life might be in shambles and you don't know how to handle that shit. So start a little bit lower. Like, because there's a hierarchy when it comes to these spirits. Like, you have Lucifer over here, and you have the Goetia down here. And I'm not saying the Goetia is like low or anything. I'm just saying that when it comes to levels of power, Lucifer definitely has a lot more dominion and command and authority. And the Goetia is powerful as fuck. Demons are fucking strong and they can do a lot. But when it comes to Lucifer, they're not that powerful. So there definitely is a hierarchy, and there is a time and a place for different types of beings. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it at. I think I definitely offered enough knowledge and value here. And remember, guys, what I'm sharing with you is some pretty advanced shit. So I definitely hope you're watching this multiple times, and I hope you're kind of like, if you're sitting down with a notebook, take some notes on what I'm saying. But other than that, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button. Drop down in the comments if you have any questions. First link in my description is going to take you to my merch. So I have sigil merch. This is another great way to build a relationship with a powerful God. It's got its sigil, its symbol of power on my shirt, and this is Hecate, the mother of Lucifer. Okay, like very powerful spirit. I can feel her energy right now. But yeah, so you go to the first link in my description that'll take you to my sigil merch. Then the link below that is going to take you to my Facebook page, and that's where my community is. So if this is something, basically on my community page, I add extra content, I add extra value, I post quotes every now and then, and I'm trying to build it right now. I'm in the process of getting more people to join, but once the momentum starts going, once the ball gets rolling, then it's going to be, a great outlet for, more connections, more understandings. And I do post quotes here and there. That's what I've been doing recently, and I know that there's going to be people that will go on there and see a quote that they exactly needed to hear. So that's another thing. That's the second link in my bio. You can request a join, and if I want to add you, I'll add you. And then other than that, that's going to wrap it up. So I hope you guys like this video, and I'm going to catch you guys on the next video. So peace.